Alright guys, welcome to the video. Here I'm going to talk still about adolescence. I'm still on chapter 11. And I'm talking about cognitive development, but I want to talk a little bit about school and the workforce and how this affects our cognitive development. Um, now, in adolescence, there is a shift where the opinions of your peers and your teachers becomes way more important. That doesn't mean that the opinion of your family members stops being important, but the opinion of your peers and teachers becomes more important than it was in the past. All of a sudden, you realize that these people, your friends, and your teachers, are the people you're going to live in the world with. And so their opinions matter. Um, Oftentimes, when children move schools, it affects their grades. It affects activities that they do. It will lower their self-esteem. Uh, it tends to be a little bit more difficult for girls, especially when they're undergoing puberty. Puberty is very difficult for girls, and when you add the stress of moving, that can be quite difficult for girls. Now, schools can ease this stress by creating a warmer climate. So, for example, having more activities. Sometimes schools will give like an ambassador to new students, and you're supposed to like help the new student find their classes and meet new people. And if that's done right, especially, it can ease the stress a great deal. Obviously, in adolescence, we have an issue with dropping out. Uh, A kid in elementary school can't drop out, even in middle school. But in high school, some kids start to choose to drop out. And so it's important for us to try and stop them from doing this. We live in a world where if you don't have a high school diploma, a bunch of jobs become inaccessible to you. And uh, the truth is that even now, a lot of jobs with just a diploma, there are a lot of jobs that are inaccessible to those people. And so we want to stop dropouts. Um, Now, some people are much more likely to drop out. Um, Reading level is often a red flag for dropping out. So if we know that a student is reading below grade level, oftentimes that is a red flag that this kid, when they reach around 15 or 16, they're going to try to drop out. Excessive absences is also a red flag. And so when we see these, especially in high school, we want to try and uh, find a way to get this child caught up so that they don't feel like they're falling behind, like high school doesn't mean anything, like nothing in high school matters, because of course we don't want them to drop out. Now, the best way to stop dropouts is early on. If we can catch kids uh, who are not reading at grade level, who are falling behind in preschool, in elementary school, in middle school, and help them catch up, we make it much more likely that they won't drop out later on. Um, Smaller classes and individualized instruction also help out with dropouts. Some students, it's important to help them understand why what they're doing in class matters in the real world. And if we can connect whatever math they're doing to whatever job they would like to have, whatever is happening in English, explain how that matters in the real world. Uh, the kids make it makes it more interested and more likely that they'll value what they're learning. Obviously, we can involve the family, the community. If we can have clear and reasonable educational goals for students, um, it makes it way more likely that the students will not drop out. A little bit about the workforce. In high school, a lot of students will start working because they want to make a little bit more money. And there's good and bads to this. Obviously, the good part is that all of a sudden you get a child to think about responsibility at work, self reliance, making their own money, the discipline of waking up and getting to work on time, doing the job right. Those are all skills that are important to learn. These students will appreciate the value of money and education. There is a realization that happens when you're working, especially if you're working, a job that is tough. You start to realize, I do not want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to get a better job than this. And that will push students to value education a lot more. Um, Obviously, they'll acquire positive habits and enhance occupational aspirations, as I mentioned. But of course, there are issues as well. Uh, Studies have noticed that, especially adolescent African American females, are more likely to be exposed to illicit substances and then end up using them if they're working. Whereas if they're not working, they're less likely to interact with those illicit substances. Students working for longer hours and tend to report low grades, higher drug abuse, and delinquent behavior. Again, this kind of goes back to the idea that some people just need more supervision, and once you're at work, the independence of work sort of uh, increases the need for you to have self control and for you to self monitor your behavior. And some kids are just not good at that. And so it increases the chances that they're going to do something that is negative. Also, you start meeting people who are older, who quote unquote know more, and they might you know lead you into uh, a lifestyle that isn't always great for a student. All right, guys. So that's just the last few pointers for chapter 11. In the next video, I'm going to start talking about chapter 12. Chapter 12 is still about adolescence, but now we're going to talk about social and emotional development.